Over a month now since the Christchurch earthquake, the vast repair job is, of course, underway. With so many homes and buildings damaged, EQC is under intense pressure, some of that pressure dating back to the first earthquake in September. It's a huge task. And with so much assessment required, things won't always go perfectly. But we're receiving increasing evidence, more tonight, that EQC assessors sometimes don't even agree with each other, let alone with the insurance companies. We're focusing on just one example, but the damage assessments Jim Duff received vary so widely, it's as if they're for different properties. How can one property be seen in such radically different ways? Who's right? And who decides that? Jendi Harper talked to Jim Duff and asks, if this saga from September still isn't resolved, what hope do other claimants have?
That's all warped and twisted. The whole integrity of the foundation is, has been compromised.
Actually, I can feel coming down here.
Yeah, it's all sunken. Fractured here, and it goes right the way round now.
She was once a grand old lady. Now it's like arthritis has crippled her limbs.
They're all twisted and buckled. Well, this is one that, as you can see, just won't close now. Can't close that at all.
Jim Duff is the owner and landlord, one house divided into two flats. The tenants have long gone. This Christchurch house, metres from the Avon River, was abandoned on September 4, left bent and buckled 6 months ago.
Is it going to take another 6 months and another 6 months of this for more money to be wasted? Okay.
Since September, Jim reckons around a dozen assessors, loss adjusters, builders and engineers have inspected the damage. But the findings all differ. Remarkably so. EQC initially said the repair bill was $62,000. Then Jim's insurers, Vero, sought a second opinion. The engineer's report costed out the repair bill here at $245,000. Then EQC upped the ante and came back. Their latest quote, $129,000, double their original estimate, but still a $116,000 difference. Meanwhile, in between visits, Jim sought the opinion of another structural engineer, and he said it's not worth repairing. Bring in the bulldozer.
When you try and talk to EQC, all you will talk to is someone at the other end of the phone that's pretty much entering data. I spent an afternoon on the phone. I was put through to Brisbane, of all places, and it was a young man that actually looked at the file and read the file diligently and said, look, he said, we're getting an awful lot of this. We're getting an awful lot of people that are actually coming back now saying that the original assessment that was made on their property is way under what it should be.
EQC has told him they're standing by their own experts, but Jim Duff disputes their findings. Look at the doors, he says. The EQC report reads that they are still aligned within their frames.
The doors are not fitting like they used to do. You can see this one here. That there is how that now fits.
Two engineers have said the ring foundation needs to be replaced.
The EQC, on the cheap, I believe, has suggested it's going to be a patch-up.
Same with the interior walls. EQC suggests raking them out and putting more plaster over the top.
Now, we've had a builder through, and another builder looked at it and said, well, look, these walls are all out of line now, and if you do that, and you do have any more aftershocks, the lard plaster is going to fracture again, and you'll be back to square one. So these rooms should be relined.
Jim Duff doesn't know who to believe.
Absolutely not. Significant interior redecoration was underway. Well, that's not true at all. He's insinuating that we were redecorating the flat prior to the earthquake and probably are now looking for a free paint job. That's all I can assume. We're paying these EQC inspectors. I'm not sure what they're paid an hour. I think it's $70 an hour these guys get paid. Now, they're getting paid. If they get it right, that's great. But I'm picking it that they're getting it wrong. And I don't know what percentage of it's wrong, but it's a big percentage. Now, that's taxpayers' money. The EQC engineer has deemed these cracks historical.
Were they?
No, absolutely not. You can see that.
Jim Duff clearly believes his EQC appraisal is on the cheap side, but he knows of others who've been pleasantly surprised.
I've also heard from an insurance company that some payouts should have been $30,000 and have been $100,000. So there's no consistency here at all. No consistency whatsoever.
Fortunately, Jim has rental insurance, but only for another 6 months.
I've met some others, yeah, that are in similar situations, and I think once you've aired this story, I think this will open up a can of worms, because you'll be seeing people just dumping properties and leaving. if they're going to if you've got a portfolio of property and you can't pay your mortgage because EQC have held this process up, what do? You just leave, bankrupt and go. Leave the town. That's how you get it open now.
Jindy Harper reporting. Now, we're not sure who's right about Jim's property, but we are surprised that assessing it seems such an inexact science. There are very major differences, as you saw, between the opinions of those who've seen the property, and given that this dates back to September, it does seem a difficult and protracted process to sort it out. Now, here's where EQC join us to explain why it's taking so long, but how it will be resolved. And here's where EQC responds to the other emails we've received and are receiving tonight from people frustrated by their assessments or lack of assessments and confused about what to do next. But EQC was unable to provide anyone to do that. Not one, not a single person from EQC was available. No one, not even a small one. Up next, extraordinary